Good morning, GTS retail partners, and welcome to our Wednesday edition of our GTS Retailer to Publisher webinar series. I hope you're enjoying the series so far. Lots of great guests. And with us today is one that I'm very excited about. I should probably introduce myself. I'm Scott Bohr. I'm your category manager for gaming specialty products, which includes gaming accessories like dice and all that fun stuff, miniatures, and role-playing games. So if you're involved in any of those, I'm the person you want to reach out to with questions on those product lines. One of the great things that I get to work with in this role is paints. And we have a few vendors that we deal with on paints, and one of them is a new partner that we're proud to bring on. We've got the orders due for their product line coming up here in the next week. And after that, we'll have the product in-house in July. And I am, of course, talking about Turbo Dork Paints. They are a specialty paint line. They specialize in color shifting, turbo shift paints, as well as metallics that are they just pop. It's total eye candy. You're going to love it. And today we have Greg Stefano from Turbo Dork. He's the founder and owner of Turbo Dork. He's going to be joining us to talk about the product. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is that as a special gift for you all, he's generously agreed to send us cases of one of their new colors or new releases coming up here is 4D Glasses, it's called. And it's another color shifting paint. So I don't want to steal too much thunder from Greg. He's got a great presentation to show you guys and wow you all with. So I will go ahead and hand the virtual microphone over to Greg DeStefano with Turbo Dork.
Hey, thank you, Scott. So I'm Greg. I'm the Commisar of Color here at Turbo Dork. I'm also not used to public speaking, so I apologize. And my terrible haircut that I just gave myself over the weekend, but that is the times we live in. So yeah, let me go over to our pretty pictures and share. And slideshow, beginning. Okay, we are radical metallic paints to make your gray world colorful. I know many of us have a gray horde they need to tackle, and so this was sort of my challenge to myself. But Turbo Dork is mainly myself and Meredith. We live in Los Angeles, and we make everything here ourselves with 2 employees. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. So about 2 years ago is when we started. I spent a year messing around with pigments. I was trying to make a purple metallic to paint a 30K Emperor's Children's Army. And I realized there weren't a whole lot of colorful metallics out there. And I come from being a professional photographer, and I use a lot of color in my work. And it was rough because everything was, grimdark and cool and, army-based and historical. And so I kind of really wanted to brighten up the palette that was out there. So cut to, a year of experimenting, hundreds of different pigments and formulations, and came out with a couple colors. I think we launched with 8, put them online on a Friday. They sold out in a few hours. Okay, so, we'll make a few more. And this was back when Meredith and I were literally hand filling bottles with like condiment squirting, little mustard bottle things. Made 50 more bottles, sold out immediately. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe this is going to be a little more than just, just a little side gig. And cut to 2 years later, and it's our full-time job, and we have 50 different shades, and we're getting out there, and it's been an amazing journey. So our line is all water-based acrylics. They work with airbrush or handbrush. Consistency-wise, they're kind of in between the two. So if you have handbrush, you can just go straight from the bottle. If you're going to airbrush, I would add a little bit of thinner. Maybe use a little higher PSI just because of the metallic flakes, but they airbrush and handbrush beautifully. About like 2/5 of our range is turbo shifts, and then 3/5 is metallics. We have 50 colors at the moment, and we're going to come out with 10 more probably mid-September. Our offerings are, we do a core 30 rack, which was our first year of releases. And then we have 2 expansion trays. one which is all turbo shifts, and then one which is sort of our take on silvers and golds and coppers and that kind of thing. Oh, our trays, I mentioned trays. Our retail racks are designed to fit on pegboard or slat wall. They do not freestand at the moment, but September we're hoping to release a essentially freestanding leg set. So it would be two metallic legs that you would hang the trays onto. So if you wanted to have them on your countertop. Part of the reasoning behind that was, we're still a small company and we were, coming out with colors, and it's not like we had a huge line planned. So we needed something we could expand with. And the trays let us essentially, whenever we came up with 10 colors, come out with a release, and you could just click it on your wall and kind of continue with the range. This is our Core 30 rack. These are some of our best sellers. Colors like Blue Raspberry, 3D Glasses, Red Rum, Pearly Gates. A lot of the turbo shift colors sell at like 2 or 3 times the rate of the other metallics, except for say Red Rum. Red Rum's one of our most popular colors. Expansion tray 1. So one of the things was customers had mentioned like, hey, how do you highlight and how do you shade color shifts? And that is a very good question. You can usually just use washes. I happen to like workshop their oil for doing shading and line painting. But highlighting was a little harder. If you're doing an edge highlight, you can mix some silver in with some of our colors and make a highlight that way. But we took it as a challenge to try to come out with triads of highlight, mids, and shades. So expansion 1 is 3 of these sets of 3 colors. We have a blue, a purple, and kind of a red yellow color. And then Motherlode. So Motherlode was another one of those things that we've been working on for a really long time, which was like a mother of pearl abalone shell effect. And that one you need to use over a white base. Most of these other colors work over black. Essentially what the turbo shift pigments are thousands of tiny little prisms. And the way they refract and reflect light affects how you see them. So if you hold the miniature up to the light and you move it, you'll actually see that color change. And that's kind of done through that prism effect. Expansion 2. So these are some earthly shifts. We had come out with a set called Earthly Pleasures that was more earth tones as opposed to jewel tones. And then we extended our range into kind of doing more traditional metallics of silvers, golds, coppers, bronzes. Tin Star is almost a chrome. It's pretty much the closest you can get to a chrome in an acrylic base without having to do alcohol. Oh yeah, so this is all of our turbo shift range. One of the things I wanted to mention was, because I came from a photography background, is these swatch bots and the swatch spoons that are on our website are as close to real life as you can get in terms of color and tone. We photographed these with a D50 lighting hood, color corrected them on an ASO monitor. I have 15 years in the photo industry. So at least the website, our pictures are as close as when you use the paint in real life as they can be. Granted, depending on if you're on an iPhone or if you're on a PC, your own device is going to change those pictures a little bit when you see them, but at least we kind of started out with a good base. This is our metallic line. I'm just kind of launching through these so I can get to the pretty pictures later. Oh, these are courtesy of Mantic Games. So the big beefier dudes, let me just go back a slide, are the turbo shift guys on our website, and then the kind of thinner dudes are all metallics. And I think I see some questions popping up, but I'll get to those at the end. So yeah, so our creation was essentially, so that I could fuel my Warhammer hobby. And Warhammer is still, one of my great passions, and I've been playing since I was 8. We have here a Wraith Guard on the left, done by Chris at Mini Wargaming. Actually, on the right is an AdMech army using People Eater. People Eater was the purple that kind of spawned this whole company. That was the metallic purple that I wanted to use. And of course, I've never had time to go back and actually paint that army. But at least somebody else did. So this was an AdMech army for frontline gaming. one of the interesting things is if you use our colors, traditionally you need to do like, 2 to 4 layers to get full saturation. But if you only do 1 or 2 layers, you get this beautiful sort of pastel desaturated effect. So the Necron Army on the left is using that technique. And then we have James Wapple on the right. He did sort of a non-metallic metal paint job, but using our true metallic metals, which I thought was fascinating. Oh, more Warhammer. On the left are, we'd commissioned Denim Imagination to paint 1 Marine in each chapter for our convention displays. So that's what you're seeing here. And on the right, the Mauler Fiend was actually painted by my 66-year-old mother. She goes by Mama Dork. You'll probably see her on the forums. My mom has been painting miniatures as long as I have. She paints them for my dad and his armies. And yeah, she's actually a huge contributor to our online presence, and I'm super proud of her. Gunpla is another big region we're getting into. We sponsored the build on the left for a suicide prevention charity. He was mainly painted in wavelength, I believe. And then the one on the right is our most popular color, Blue Raspberry. As well as we're partnered with Fresh Paint. He's a painter out of Australia. The 2 guys on the left are Turbo Shifts, I believe Radium and Ground is Lava. And then the one on the right is using some of our unreleased colors. X-Wing is also huge for us now. There's a lot of competitive X-Wing players that are using our colors to customize their squadrons. And actually on the right, this is the 40 glasses color. This will be the one you get a free case of. We'd released it as like a limited release at LVO, sold out immediately, and it was like, okay, well, maybe we should actually make this as a real color. So it's gonna come out in that group of colors in September, but you guys will be getting it early. Yeah, it's a beautiful kind of green to purple shift. I think Iced and Ever on the one on the right. More X-Wing. The fleet on the left was done with Blue Raspberry and then flicking white paint onto the ships to give them that kind of galaxy effect. And then we have Bubblegum Crisis on the right, which is our rose gold. It's more pinky if you use it on a white base. It's more of a gold with a rose tone if you use it on a black base. Board games is also big. Board games have been transitioning into being sort of their own little kind of miniatures games. So this is one of the ones from Nemesis, which I think is just finishing its Kickstarter today or tomorrow, or its new release Kickstarter. And then Kingdom Death Monster on the right. As well as there's a lot of people doing Funko Pop repaints, or the gelatinous cube on the right from Reaper. Reaper painted this up and sent it back to us because they thought it was cool. And it uses Motherlode over a clear miniature, essentially. We also kind of just dipping our feet into like the RC and the Hot Wheels repaint world. There's a huge number of YouTube influencers that repaint and restore Hot Wheels. Some of them just discovered our colors. The monster truck on the left was painted by Weta down in New Zealand and sent to us, although we're not exactly sure what it's for, like what project it's going in, or if it's just for fun, but it's cool. Cosplay as well. So this is done, the gloves and the I don't know, fascinator thing that goes in this bucket. We're done in 3D glasses. This is by a friend of ours, Loom Cluster. And then our paints also work on leather. On the right, you can see some leather working projects. Our paints are actually super flexible and super durable. Oh, and because I'm a photographer, I had to put some pretty pictures in here. You can see Scott's background. And these are just pictures I've taken during the mixing process. And I thought were kind of neat. And, oh yeah, so just search for Turbo Dork on YouTube. There are tons of videos of people using our paints, reviewing our paints, showing you how to use our paints. We are very giving to the community. If people want to try our paints, we're happy to send them some. We've sponsored a few videos, when we feel like there's a new release, somebody, it'd be cool if there was attention on. Yeah, we have a very, very big YouTube presence. not so much us making videos yet, although we just built a studio. But definitely the community has been covering us. And then speaking of community, we run a group on Facebook called Turbo Dorks, which has about 500 members, and we are miniatures and company agnostic. So you can talk about any paint you want, any miniatures line you want. We don't care. But it's a very active group that's been growing a lot in the last couple of weeks. With everybody staying at home and painting. And then we're on, Instagram is kind of the main, portfolio for our stuff, especially the hashtag of hashtag Turbo Dork or hashtag Turbo Dork Paints. And if you want to reach me, I'm Greg at Turbo Dork. I'm available pretty much all the time, as long as our internet line doesn't get cut like it did yesterday. And yeah, I think that's it. I know, short and sweet. But yeah, some pretty pictures for you guys to leave.
Yeah, excellent. So there are just a few comments in
Sure.
the webinar chat. There's one question and a couple comments. And one of I'll start with the comments. Sean Wainwright says, our store manager brought in a sampling of this line after seeing them at Gamma, and we are excited that our favorite distributor will be carrying them.
Yay.
And, so good for that. And we're excited to be your favorite distributor. So let me know how we can be even better. And Scott Morris says, your mom is awesome. So it sounds like your whole family's in the gaming and painting and miniatures, and how fun is that? That's great. It is a family hobby.
It's great.
Then,
yeah, it is.
Jasper asks, is there a way to get a copy of the slideshow pictures to use in our advertisements of the paints? So Greg, if you've got a set of pictures you want to send me, we can get that sent out to people. That'd be great. Otherwise, there's a lot of great pictures on their Facebook page. I found that out recently looking through that. There's all kinds of pictures there you can grab as well. And then Julio expresses all of our inner feelings right now. He says, wishes I had time to paint.
I know. It's tough.
Yeah. And then there is a question by Richard Matney has a question, and he's raised his hand, but Richard, do you want to type that question into the chat window? We can get that answered for you. And then Sean also asks, I'm always curious about names, so I must ask, why Turbo Dork?
That's actually a very good question. I fancied myself that I was going to become one of those YouTube streaming guys, X number of years ago, and I was going to be the Turbo Dork. And I did like 2 streams and realized I can't talk and paint at the same time. And yeah, and then I kind of shelved it and then started playing around with the paints, and then was just like, you know what, Turbo Dork I think makes sense. So we're Turbo Dork for the paint, and then my photography business, which I don't have time for anymore, but was called Hyper Nerd. So which was kind of tough because I'd confuse the two sometimes, but it was mainly just a fun name that I've kind of been sitting on for a while. And it just seemed to fit, especially because we went with sort of that retro 80s feel of branding, and turbo speed and turbo when cars had turbo buttons, that kind of thing. So yeah.
Okay. Other questions. One is asking, Manuel asks, so how would you compare these paints to the Army Painter?
It's hard. All of our paints are metallic in nature. Some of them happen to shift as well, but we don't do kind of traditional opaque paints. So in the grand scheme of how do they compare, I think Army Painter has some great colorful choices that they've made, but it's really hard to compare the two just because they're different beasts. Yeah, I don't know. I use Army Painter, they're great. We're kind of in different categories in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like a complementary relationship than a competitive one. So
right.
Really,
I would be the first person to say that, like, if a store wants to carry paints, they should carry somebody else in addition to Turbo Dork. There needs to be the traditional opaque range as well as our specialty range. Just my opinion.
Yeah, no, what you've got is a line of paints that are perfect for special effects. They're accent, and in some cases they're full model things. I'm painting privateer press Warjack right now and using exclusively the Turbo Dork metallics and color shifts. So trying to experiment some with them and get a feel for them, a better feel. And I can tell you from use, it does go on nice and flat and clean with a brush. I don't airbrush at all right now, but it goes on really well with a brush. You can thin it for brush and for airbrush, of course, but it works great just brushed on.
Yeah.
Alex asks if there are any sample kits that we can order. So right now we've got the rack systems, but do you have any plans for like a sample pack that would have one of each bottle or something along that line?
That's a really good question. We have given out to retailers before sort of our like dealer's choice of, you know, like 8 of our best sellers. I should set that up as a SKU. Yeah, we don't have anything ready, but I don't see why we shouldn't. So
yeah, maybe you and I can have that conversation. We can offer something out through GTS as a demo program, add-on, something like that.
Totally.
So
yeah, because I think once you get the paints in your hand is like, you know, I mean, plenty of stores just pick us up, you know, by word of mouth. But I think, you know, having your hands on some paint and seeing in real life is really what sells it. Whoa. Kitty. Whoa, what happened? Okay.
Oh yeah, it just went there.
I guess we'll just start over. At least it didn't hang up the call.
Nope.
Let me see this chat again. Oh, there was a question about the beginning rack, I believe. So the 30 paints. Talk about the intro rack. So
yeah, right.
This is our core 30 rack that we came out with last year, and this is our first 30 releases. It covers most of our kind of rainbow, I should say, and then has a bunch of our best sellers like Blue Raspberry, 3D Glasses, Red Rum, People Eater, which is the reason I started the company. And it's a really good base, although I find that a lot of retailers upgrade to the full 50 pretty quickly.
Manuel asks, how will stock be with this brand of paint at GTS as opposed to stock with Army Painter? Yeah, some of the product that we ship from overseas is a little more difficult to get consistency on. One of the benefits of Turbo Dork is that they are a domestic producer, so they're in Los Angeles with reasonably easy reach, and should be able to keep stock on hand. I think right now you're kind of re-ramping up production and expect to we expect to have the product in warehouses beginning in July. Was that like mid to late July, or what are we thinking there?
It depends on how many people order.
Okay.
Honestly, but yeah, I mean, we're producing stuff right now, trying to get ready for, you know, this launch. But yeah, I mean, it really helps. We make everything here. Our racks are made domestically as well, although they're currently back ordered by a week or two themselves. You know, everything's been reopening, so it's just been this mad dash to get product out the door for a lot of people. But it really helps because we can make stuff here. So if a color runs out, you know, 2 days later, we mix up another batch. And we try to stay on top of it, that we have, you know, at least 100 in stock of anything. So it's obviously harder to balance as we keep adding more colors, which is kind of why we're going to cap things probably at 60 in our line for a little bit. But stock really shouldn't be an issue, you know, past this pre-order period. I imagine then it'll kind of return to normal. Especially with everybody reopening and ourselves reopening and getting back to work, you know, dusting off the cobwebs and, you know, figuring out how to do all this stuff again.
I will just mention on the racks that you offer not only the core rack, which is the 30 main colors, and then you've got the 2 expansion racks, but you've also got the full line rack available through GTS, which is all 50 colors, either in the half rack, which is 3 paints, or the full rack, which is 6 of each paint. And those are it's the same rack whether you get the half rack or the full rack. You just have a different number of paint bottles. So the rack, either rack will hold 6 bottles of each color.
Yep, and all the racks come pre-built and pre-filled with the paint. So essentially all you do is you put the little 2 hooks into the slat wall, and then you just hang the tray on those hooks. So it's super quick to set up. I mean, maybe 10 or 15 minutes to get our product on the walls.
Excellent.
It is nice that it's spring loaded. You know, brings all the paint right to the front. Nothing's falling over. They are, you know, a little more expensive than other wire racks and stuff, but they look great on the wall and they work great, and they're easy to use. Do you have bestsellers? Maybe carry 10 or 15 colors. Yeah, we have a bestseller list. I could rattle them off right now, although that may, but like 3D glasses, blue raspberry, people eater, red rum, shell shocked, Motherlode, Miami sunset, and then pretty much our true metals. I mean, because everybody can use regular metals, you know, but like specifically Tin Star, because it's almost a chrome, has become super popular lately, because it's kind of hard to do that look in acrylics.
Yeah.
Do you have an example of hooks being used to hang your display units? And there are people who have been tagging us on Instagram at, you know, at Turbo Dork or Turbo Dork Paints, that retailers have been showing off their racks. I don't think I have anything in this, other than technically these are actually on our piece of black slat wall here. So that's what it would look like on your wall.
Right.
We currently carry the whole line already. Oh, yay. I'm glad you guys like them.
Excellent. One of the things that I really like about the product is the versatility of it, in terms of it covers the full expansion of our hobby, right? Whether if you're a store that carries miniatures, it's great, RC cars, cosplay, leatherworking, the full gamut of hobby and creator markets have a use and a utility for your paint lines. So that's one of the things that I really like about it. It really gets you into many more places than maybe you wouldn't normally be able to get into.
Oh yeah, I mean, just because I made them for Warhammer doesn't mean, you know, I mean, creativity is boundless, and I'm the first person to realize that I think my own creativity can be kind of narrow sometimes, and you know, putting the paints out there, it's just amazing to see what people make with them. Will they work with grid? Yes. We can send grid hooks. They're sort of a special thing. Or they work with regular grid hooks. I can send you a picture, but basically all you have to do is zip tie the grid hook to the grid, and then the tray will hang on it just fine. I don't offer it sort of as part of the main kit just because it's been a rare request. I think maybe 2 times in the last year, but it does work, yeah.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah, retailers, if you do have questions, please, you know, feel free to keep using the chat window. Lots of great comments and questions, but we want to make sure that everybody gets their questions answered and walks away feeling like they can move forward with confidence on this line. We'd love to have you guys involved. We'd love to provide it to you. So you know, make sure that you get your questions asked. Lots of great resources on YouTube, and also their Facebook page is very active. There's a lot of people contributing, including Greg's mom, and so
she runs
that's
the group.
awesome. Alex says it looks pretty, and I'm looking forward to trying them out. Great.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to trying them out as well. So hopefully that'll. How long do they take to dry? This is a comment that I wanted you to address as well.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So if you're just going to let them air dry, it really depends on how thick the coats are. If you're airbrushing, I would let it air dry for 10 minutes per coat. But with the airbrush, because I use a dual action airbrush, I just spray air between coats, and I spray air for maybe 20 seconds, then I do the next coat. Hand brushing, again, it depends on, you know, how thick you're going. Hopefully you're going thin because they look better doing thin coats. although I'm bad about that. But yeah, I'd say like, 10 minutes, it's safe, super safe. Our paints do take a little while to harden up. So before you do anything like major play wise with them, I would let them dry overnight. But once they're hard, they're like hard as rock. Do you use these with GW paint? I recommend, either Citadel or Army Painter as sort of an accessory, or we're an accessory to their line. Because there's always going to be other kind of opaque colors you want for fabrics and skin and things like that. But I do happen to like Games Workshop's washes. I also like Army Painter's washes to do shading on our colors. So, I'm going to do a Necron Army and I'm going to paint it in Silver Fox, and then I'm going to put dark tone, I think, on it to give it that kind of shading. How durable would you say they are? That is a very good question. I wish I had my little object here still. I don't know where I put it. I mean, you can full on try to scratch a thing with your fingernail and it won't scratch. It's not like a thin thing of, putting a little bit of yellow over white and then you rub it off with your finger. And I mean, as a testament to that, I mean, my jeans have had paint on them for years and it's still on them. So, and our shop floor. But yeah, they're very durable. To speak to that as well, a lot of people, let me actually go back to, a lot of people do like dull coat or varnish their miniatures. And if you're using other paints along with our paints, I would suggest you definitely do that. The Marines on the left, although not the greatest picture because we took that at LVO, we're done with dull coat to protect them. And the dull coat, because it's a matte finish, gives them sort of like a brushed aluminum feel. So it's a little less luster, but it's a different feel in a different way. And I think it worked for them too. But if you're going to pick a varnish specifically for our stuff, I'd say go something like a semi-gloss. But I don't really varnish our stuff because it doesn't really scratch. So yeah. Oh, I mean, to address the drying quickly thing too, or how quickly they dry. Our paints actually do dry pretty quick. For hand brush, you might want to use a wet palette or use a little bit of retarder, just depending on how you paint.
I can attest to that as well, that they do dry rather quickly. So they're on the shorter side of the acrylic spectrum than some others.
Yeah, they were mainly made to do because I was formulating everything with airbrush and painting spoons and stuff. So I went with that as kind of the main goal. But yeah, I mean, again, you just use a little bit of retarder and some water and just keep it mixed on your palette and you should be fine. I feel like there was a question early on that I missed too. Where was it?
I don't think so. I think we got them all. Yep. There's a new one. Those Marines are great. Says so there was a question typed into the Q&A. Scott asks, was an approximate release date mentioned? I see upon receipt on the GTS website, and he wants to budget for the full rack. So I will tell you, right now we're planning on July, probably about mid to late July, it sounds like, for release of the product. So that's what I would put in for your timeline at this point.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, lots of questions and comments. This is great. I appreciate the engagement. Oh, another Q&A. Oh no, that's.
I'm also always available, as I said. Let me go to my last slide. Or let me just lose that crap. I am not used to PowerPoint. I apologize. It's been like 15 years since I've given a presentation. Where was my slide? There we go. Feel free to email me, Greg at Turbo Dork. I'm always available unless I'm mixing paint. And I love helping people. So. Go back to the chat.
Just a quick note, and then I'm done.
Suggested brushes for this line. I use Winsor Newton Series 7s, but that's just what I have. I mean, they work with anything. I mean, I suggest brushes that go with, your style of painting. I actually really like the Army Painter brushes. I really like their insane detail one, which is great for doing eyes and stuff like that. But I use, I don't remember the exact name of it, but I use their dry brushes, and I use one of their standard size brushes, or it's a little smaller than standard for most of my stuff.
Great. Mark asked if they should just ping their reps and they should be aware of these items. Yes, Mark, your sales reps should be aware of the items. We've had a lot of requests from sales reps and lots of questions coming in from them. So, and they were on a webinar with Greg here last Friday. So they should be very aware of the product and have a good feel for it and be ready to answer questions or send them up the chain. You can also email me, sbohr@gtsdistribution.com, and I'll happily answer any questions related to the distribution side of things, for sure. Let's see. Does the paint take well to a wet palette?
Yes, but keep in mind, as with any metallic on a wet palette, is you're going to want to kind of keep mixing it up. I keep a silicone tipped brush. I think it's technically a sculpting tool that I got off of Amazon. And I just always use that to mix it up as opposed to using the brush itself. Because as with brushes, you don't want to get paint up in the fair rule, which is very likely if you're trying to mix with it. So I mix with that silicone tip thing, you know, once in a while if I see the thing start separating. But we did kind of reformulate our colors like a year ago to make them better for brush. So they got a little thicker and a little more gel. You know, kind of water thin before, which is great for airbrushing. But I'd say, you know, 50% of our customers hand brush. Yes, the rack is not 6 feet tall.
Right. That does appear to be an error on our side. So we'll get that taken care of.
Yeah, same thing with airbrushing. You know, any metallic, especially some of our metallics have larger flakes to give them that brilliance. They will tend to separate. So as you're working, just keep an eye on your palette or your airbrush pot and just mix it up once in a while. Yeah, I don't know if I have much to add to that other than that. But yeah, our racks essentially, so a core rack, whoops, I'm in the chat. No, okay. Our core rack is, all of our trays are 12 inches wide. With paint, they're about 6 inches tall, and they come off the wall about 10 inches. So the core rack with the 3 trays with that topper is something like mid-20s inches tall, 12 inches wide. And when we come out with the leg set, each leg set's going to hold 3 trays. So we're going to come out with them when we come out with that 6th tray. So if you wanted to have a countertop display, you would get 2 leg sets and just hang 6 trays on those.
Excellent. Yeah, we're looking forward to that, to being able to offer that out as well.
Same. It's been haunting me for a long time, and I finally had time over, you know, stay-at-home period to like get it done. So.
Great. Jeff says, excellent information. I just had a call this morning about your paint. So
oh, that's awesome.
Go. Already getting reach out about it. So.
Yeah. Yay, organic growth.
Yeah. I'm real excited about the line. I'm excited to have this partnership in place and be able to offer quality product out to our customers and so that they can then in turn get more engagement in the hobby.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Oh my God. They want a rack for their own private collection. Hey, I mean, they are nice trays.
They're available. Sure.
They are available. That's what we do. We'd be happy to hook them up.
Excellent. Any contests in the works? You do that?
That's a very good question. We'll probably run a contest when we do our new release in September. We're just honestly, it's been such a crazy journey of growth that we've not had a chance to do sort of the normal marketing things of like contests and giveaways and stuff. And we do once in a while though run little mini giveaways on our Turbo Dorks Facebook group for our members there. But no, it's a big thing. We're also working on kind of a retailer support package with like window clings and more signage, and like these, where are they? Like these Marines. I'm also working on some other swatch objects and doing like a big poster, essentially of like all of our colors at once. So it's going to be easy for customers to figure out what they want. Sort of like those old Audubon Society posters with all the birds, except for you get to choose your color. I know that's a weird dated reference, but my parents had one in the bathroom, so it's what I remember.
That's funny. Excellent. All right. Any additional questions? Okay, there are some. Nope. Will the retail support package be for ordering through GTS?
Yes, totally. Yeah, I mean it's going to be for everybody. So, okay. I don't know pricing or exactly what's in it because we're just, you know, we're honestly trying to focus on reopening and getting this pre-order period done for GTS, and then we're going to go back and finalize that retailer support package.
Okay. And then Alex asks if you have a retailer Facebook group with updates on stock, new paints, or that kind of thing.
We don't really have a specific retailer group, not like how, you know, Game Industry Works or Gamma Works, but the insider line on our stuff is the Turbo Dorks group. It's consumer facing, or it's everybody facing, I should say. And we talk about and ask questions and stuff there. And, you know, some of our new colors are actually coming from suggestions that people have made on that group. And that's usually where we talk about things first, or have people vote on new colors and whatnot. Yeah, we're in maybe 100 retailers right now. And, you know, we're hoping to, you know, heck, probably double that with GTS, you know, coming up here pretty soon. You know, so we're still getting our feet under us, honestly. Like, you know, I come from being a freelancer my whole life to now running a business. So in fact, if there's anything that you guys think of and you want to email me that we should do for retailer support or is helpful to you guys, please let me know. You know, we're working on, I saw there was a post on the game industry Facebook asking about media for in-store TVs. So we're going to be shooting some videos of paint mixing and, you know, doing targeted content for that. Yeah, we're open to suggestions. You know, we're still learning. So.
Yeah, I think those are great assets. A demo kits and the like would also be something that retailers will be looking for. Anything that helps them promote and sell the product in the store is always helpful. So great. And Scott says all in order placed. Thanks. Sweet. Thank you, Scott. We're excited about having you on board. It's great. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully everybody's got questions answered. What looks like there's another Facebook Live of just painting minis attracts a lot of people as well. So there you go. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we actually we're just kind of building a little studio area that I'm particular because I'm a photographer, so I'm lighting it really well and, you know, making a background for it and stuff. But the plan is to start doing more, you know, like, hey, here's me painting a Necron army and, you know, film that, or here's a test of all the different airbrush thinners and how they actually look on the, you know, the finished mini, or here's a different varnish, you know, what does that do to the effect? So yeah, we're totally gonna try to do more of that coming up. Wow, two all-in orders.
Two all-in orders. One of the things that wasn't mentioned, and I've got it here on the bottle, is it's super helpful that right there on the bottle is our instructions on how you use this paint. So you know, shake well before use. For most vibrant, put it over a black undercoat, 3 to 5 coats. That's all right here on the bottle. So you got instructions, and if you can hear it, there's a mixing ball in every bottle to help assist with mixing the paint. So it's a very well thought out product. It's all in dropper bottles. I think it's fantastic quality. I'm really enjoying using it as a hobbyist. So I know that that more people will as well as they become exposed to it, get the chance to see it in action. I think that's really at the heart of it all.
Yeah, I would say the process usually works as a retailer, you know, picks us up, a couple customers buy some stuff, and then they immediately bring it back in, painted, and have to show it off. It's happened so many times that, like, it's this amazing sort of discovery process for people. And yeah, and then, you know, a week or two later they sell out, and then they got to get a whole restock. So it's been a fun, you know, cycle to watch happen. Yeah, our dropper bottles have stainless steel mixing balls. I feel like that's super key. All the directions are on the bottle. They're also on our website in the like slideshow thing that goes around the top, are like tips and tricks. Most colors look best over a black undercoat. It doesn't need to be a gloss undercoat. I originally recommended that, but I've rescinded that. All the pictures on our website are using a matte black primer. Some colors do work better over white, and it will say on the bottle what those are. Colors like Motherlode, and we have a series of colors called Bright Lights, which are like metallic orange and yellow and stuff, and they work better over white undercoat. But most of the time it's black. But please experiment. I mean, just because I say one thing doesn't mean it doesn't look cool if you do it another way. Yeah.
Exactly. Excellent. I don't see any additional colors, but just as a reminder that for attending the webinar live, you will be receiving a pack of the 4D glasses. It's a 6-count case of the 4D glasses before it releases. So we'll get all these names and everything all put together and sent off as well. Greg, we can handle the shipping on that. No problem there. We got that. As far as anything else, I think that's it. It looks like no additional questions. Oh, I'm sorry. Core rack half says it comes with the rack. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So the half racks and the full racks both come with the rack. The rack is identical.
Oh, I scrolled too quick. Broke it. Oh, yeah. No matter what, the actual trays are the same between the different kits. The half just happens to have 3 quantity of each color. A full has 6 quantity of each color. But the core on the left, if you got a core half, it's what you see on the left, just with only 3 quantity.
Right, the 3 of each paint as opposed to 6 in the full.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, we're like I said, GTS, we're real excited about this partnership. We're excited to make this product available to our retailers. As you've seen, there's a lot of investment being made right here on this call in terms of retailers buying into the line. So I think we're going to see great things from the partnership. We're excited about it. And I want to thank everybody for being available today. Greg, thank you for the presentation. Thank you for all the cool pictures and for changing your life to make this product available to the hobbyists and to you just enjoy the excitement of that. And there you go. Jeremy says, Greg, you did a great job. Sold.
Yay.
So thanks for the great. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was awesome. So well, we appreciate it. Thank you, retailers, again, for taking your time out of your day to invest with us, to learn about new products coming out. We really appreciate it. We know running a business in these crazy times is difficult without taking a chunk out of your day for it. So we appreciate your time. We value it. And I want to return as much of it as possible to you for the rest of the day. So please feel free to hit us up, either Greg or myself, with any questions. Ask your sales reps, and we'll get all your questions answered and taken care of. Thank you again, and have a great rest of your day.
Yay. Thank you, guys.